the workflow part is still brittle. You're customer facing, so there is reputational risk. Even if you sandbox it prior, there's always novel use cases. So just take us through that AI integration kind of workflow of each customer not only has their specific policies and guidance, but they also want you to capture the tone of the company. So how do you do that? Is it fine-tuning DPO, RAGs, pair floras, etc.? Then you have the scoring of the effectiveness of the reasoning engine, and that kind of differs per model. And then we have the fact that people want the end-to-end, but we still got, as I say, that tool use function calling is brittle, but the native integration is better. And so do the model makers with, Claude, computer artifacts and workspace start to eat your lunch. So there's some themes I'd kind of love to cover.
Yeah, I can start off by talking about how we've put together the various components of the system to start to deliver on our promise. So the first thing is that we're trying as much as possible from like a strategic perspective to use foundation models that are relatively untouched wherever we possibly can. And the main reason for this is that as an application layer company, our customers are often trusting us to ensure that we grow that automated resolution metric, our North Star, as quickly as possible while there's underlying model changes. We believe that the companies that are operating at the foundation model layer are going to innovate dramatically quickly, and the sheer intelligence that they're able to provide because of the amount of compute that they can throw at problems. As a result, we've designed the system to be tuned primarily at, call it, the prompt and example layer. So we'll leverage a combination of both in-context learning within our own prompts, but also we've designed the management experience to capture the human preference, and then we reinforce it through the use of our automated metrics. So what do I mean there? Upon first setup of an AI agent, there's really two main tasks that need to happen. The first is we connect to some kind of repository or knowledge source for doing RAG, because this is, table stakes. Everybody wants to answer questions specific to their business. The next thing that we'll do is we'll walk the customer through an initial setup of their AI agent's personality. This is defining like jargon that really makes sense. It might find all over your documents, but you need to provide some hints at the, bringing in some elements of brand tone and so on and so forth. Again, very, very high level and in generalist terms. Now, once this is defined, the system can perform, and it's going to resolve at a certain percentage of those inquiries coming in. And even if it might provide relevant, safe, and accurate responses, there might not yet be enough context in the system for it to really be aligned to business guidelines and business goals and preferences. This is where we bring in a mechanism that we call coaching. And this is where the human comes in to really close the feedback loop. And it's something that we believe we're going to be able to automate in fairly short order. But essentially, humans can review every interaction that happens on the system. And when they review the interaction, they don't only get to review, question and ultimate answer. They also get access to the complete reasoning trace that's in the system. From the moment the question is asked to as the different modules, or essentially the different LLMs that we're using, as we break apart the problem and iteratively reflect on it, each one of those decision points can be influenced by the human. And once they provide their preference, it could be phrase future inquiries of this with a more sensitive tone, or rank these search retrieval results in a different order next time you execute a similar query. As these kind of forms of preference are expressed, that's where we commit them to memory and are going to retrieve these preferences back on every single answer to the question. And it's through that mechanism that we're primarily aligning the system today. That said, we think from a latency and cost perspective, there's some real performance advantages to fine-tuning. We're using it in certain elements of our system, specifically when it comes down to measurement and analytics. So our pipeline that is assessing whether or not conversations are resolved, that's making use of preference data that's been collected both by human audits of past resolution scores and also inputs into our dashboard. And we've been able to fine-tune our model that is assessing resolution on these signals. There's LLM as a judge, but a fine-tuned LLM, to a point where we can get anywhere between 82 and 90% agreement with human auditors that are consuming the same conversations. So that's a place where, just that automated feedback loop already has shown a lot of benefit. And you can imagine that, through some of this information, but as well some of the initial preference data that we're collecting through the coaching process, we think we can drive automated improvements throughout the rest of the system as well.